By the fourth quarter of 2025, the United States dollar's share of global foreign exchange reserves had fallen to 56.77%, according to the International Monetary Fund's Currency Composition of Official Foreign Exchange Reserve Survey. That is the lowest share the IMF has recorded since the modern COFR series began in 1999, when the dollar accounted for over 71% of reserves. Something has been shifting inside the plumbing of the global financial system, and the institution driving much of that shift calls itself Brics. The mainstream story is that Brics is racing to kill the dollar with a rival currency. The data tells a narrower, stranger story. In March 2025, India's External Affairs Minister Subramanyam Jaishankar stated plainly that there is no policy on India's part to replace the dollar. Brics has explicitly shelved the idea of a single common currency. What the group has built instead is a set of alternative payment rails. And by November 2025, one of them, the mBridge platform, had already settled more than 4,000 transactions worth $55.49 billion without a single headline calling it a currency war. Brics began as an acronym, not an alliance. Brazil, Russia, India, and China held the first BRICS summit in Yekaterinburg, Russia, in 2009, a grouping of large emerging economies with little in common beyond scale. South Africa joined the following year, turning BRIC into BRICS. For over a decade, the bloc functioned mostly as an annual talking shop, useful for photo opportunities, but light on binding commitments. That changed at the 2023 Johannesburg summit, when BRICS extended invitations to Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE formally joined in 2024. Indonesia followed in January 2025. Saudi Arabia is the exception. Invited in 2023, it still had not formally accepted full membership as of May 2026, choosing instead to preserve its relationship with Washington. 11 full members now sit at the table, up from 5 just 3 years earlier. The 2024 Kazan summit in Russia added a second tier, the partner country. 10 states, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam, joined this partner category through 2025, without the full obligations of membership. Together, full members and partners now form what analysts call the BRICS 20. It is worth remembering how the last global reserve system was built. On July 1, 1944, delegates from 44 nations signed the Bretton Woods Agreement, formally installing the US dollar as the anchor of the post-war financial order. BRICS is attempting something structurally different, not one founding treaty, but a slow accumulation of bilateral tools and settlement platforms, built without a comparable single agreement. Economically, the 10 confirmed full BRICS members now account for roughly 41% of global GDP on a purchasing power basis, against 28% for the G7, a gap the IMF projects will keep widening through 2030. Add the 10 2025 partner countries, and the extended BRICS 20 reaches nearly 44% of global GDP and 55.6% of the world's population. Financially, the bloc has spent the past 2 years building infrastructure rather than declarations. The mBridge cross-border settlement platform had processed over 4,000 transactions, worth $55.49 billion by November 2025. The new development bank, headquartered in Shanghai, has approved $42.9 billion across 139 projects as of April 2026, with $22.4 billion already dispersed. And on October 31, 2025, Brics quietly piloted a new settlement token, the unit, backed 40% by gold and 60% by a basket of BRICS currencies. Diplomatically, 2026 belongs to India, which holds the rotating chairmanship and will host the 18th BRICS Summit in New Delhi on September 12th and 13th, under the theme Prime Minister Modi announced at the Rio Summit in July 2025. Building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. But the run-up to that summit has not gone smoothly. The May 2026 Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi was overshadowed by the ongoing Iran war, and Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov used the moment to caution that Brics would not rush further expansion, favoring consolidation over growth. The friction points matter as much as the achievements. Saudi Arabia's continued non-accession shows the limits of Brics's pull even among invited states. And when the United States imposed a 10% blanket tariff on Brics countries in July 2025, later escalating to 50% specifically on Brazil and India, the pressure appears to have hardened Brics cohesion rather than fracturing it. The most likely path, based on current data, is incremental continuation. The dollar's reserve share keeps drifting lower from its 56.77% floor. Brics's share of global GDP keeps widening against the G7 through 2030, and settlement platforms like mBridge and the unit keep growing in volume without displacing the dollar in daily trade. No common currency is coming. The bloc has said so directly. A slower alternative is also plausible. Lavrov's own caution against rushing expansion and Saudi Arabia's continued hesitation suggest a bloc that could stall on its own internal contradictions. 11 members with very different relationships to Washington, Moscow, and Beijing, all trying to move at the same pace. For ordinary people, the relevance is not a headline currency collapse. It is slower and more structural. Every percentage point the dollar loses in reserves, and every $1 billion settled outside SWIFT, marginally changes the cost of borrowing, the price of imports, and the leverage Washington holds when it reaches for sanctions. None of that shows up in a single dramatic moment. It shows up over years, in the data nobody is watching closely enough. The dollar was built by one signature in one room in 1944. Its successor, if one ever emerges, is being built the opposite way, in fragments, across 11 capitals, one settlement platform at a time. The question worth sitting with is not whether the dollar will collapse. It's whether anyone will notice the moment it quietly stops being the only option.